All right, replacing a part brake solenoid on a Bobcat 773 skid steer. This is the replacement solenoid that I have. I'm right here, sitting in the foot pan of the cockpit here. Part brake solenoid. Already got it loose. Need to remove the shaft. What I did here was I loosened the two solenoids that are here. I took the head off of each side. You'll see that. Took this side off of the steering lever. There's the steering lever. And then I removed one of them from the bracket. You can see it's gone. I've only have one here. You only need to remove one. Then the two bolts here and here, remove those, and then slid this bracket out, got it out of the way. That was done after I took the steering lever bolts loose here and then pushed them forward, slid them out of the way. That gave me access to everything. Also removed the limit switch bracket here that holds the two limit switches that the levers activate. They're right here. You can see my limit switch lever is damaged. This one's completely gone. Need to replace those. That gave me access to the two 12 millimeter bolts that was holding the solenoid on. Now I need to remove the plunger. All right, to get this shaft out, I need to remove the part brake or traction lock, depending on what you want to call it, the real name or the name you want to make up. Need to remove this spacer. So I got a removal bolt here and a removal bolt here. As you can see, I have a grease point here and a grease point over here to grease my steering tubes. However, the brake for the steering tube is right here, and this is where the extra grease will escape, which means it all ends up down here. I've cleaned it out a little bit, but before removing this spacer, I highly recommend that all this debris around here is cleaned off and removed so it doesn't get into your chain case. All right, let's take care of that. All right, cleared off most of the debris. I'm gonna use a 14 millimeter wrench. Take this loose, take this bolt loose, and then we'll move on to the next one. All right, got my forward bolt out from here. Looks like someone took it upon themselves to put pipe dope on it. Thread lock, plumbing. Plumbing sealant. Not sure why. Maybe it's needed. Who knows? Anyway, one bolt out. This other bolt, I've got it out, but as you can see, it'll come up. And it's real close to hitting the steering tubes. If you look at this bolt, put this bolt in there next to that one, you can kind of see that it's not coming out. So I got to figure something out. Right here, you can see the two bolts, the length of it's just way too much. It'll be hitting right here. So, got to figure out what to do next. So, to get this bolt out, you have to remove this. There's a shaft on the end down there that you have to, a bolt on the end of the shaft. You have to remove that bolt. On the opposite end, there's another bolt. Here you can see there's two U-bolts. These U-bolts have to remove because this is the steering arm. I'm activating the steering arm. Going back and forth. You remove that. You can take that shaft out. Once you take that shaft out, you can get that bolt out. Then you can get to this space. You can get the spacer out. then you can get to the bottom of this shaft where you can unbolt it. I'm going to show you the replacement shaft, as where you can see this one has a cup on the end of it. This has an E-ring right there. So the spring goes down, hits the E-ring, and that acts as a stop rather than the cup. This is the solenoid. This is the spring for the solenoid. This is the old spring. My spring seems to be just a little bit more heavy duty. The replacement spring does. This is an ASI part. So basically what happens is this becomes electrode magnet, and it creates a field and it pulls that shaft down into it. It's not mechanically linked, it's an electrical occurrence. So I'm not taking this tube out. So which means I'm not going to be able to get that bolt out, nor remove that spacer, nor remove that shaft. But as long as this shaft isn't longer than the replacement shaft, which it is not, I'm okay. So it is, from what I can tell, slightly shorter, but only by a couple millimeters. So I made the decision not to replace the shaft and just use the shaft. There's not much difference in my solenoid. You can see my new solenoid, my old solenoid's basically physically the same. So the dimensions are about the same. So I don't really have a whole lot to worry about. This is just a sleeve that's not really doing anything. So I'm going to replace this without replacing the shaft, and see what happens. The problem I was having is my park brake was engaging but not releasing, or my traction lock was engaging but not releasing. So we'll find out if this fixes it. I'll give you an update later on. Alright, let's put it in. Alright, the first thing I want to show you is, see how this is laid over? And this one sticks straight up. Well, this one isn't going to stick straight up because this is going to sit right on top of it. So that bracket will come up, it's bolted in, back in there, comes straight out over top of this, and it sits right over top of that. So this is going to bend. So I'm going to go ahead and bend it, lay it down with a radius that I like, because you shouldn't bend your wires too tightly. So I'm going to bend it at a radius that I think is adequate. So before I install it, I'm going to bend these wires. Alright, I've replaced the solenoid over the plunger, over that metal shaft I was trying to remove but could not. Notice I have the wires facing forward. You want to do the same thing. Alright, put the bolts in. This bolt here, these bolt here's are the two bolts that would have to be removed. The torques for them are 25 to 28 foot-pounds and 80 to 90 foot-pounds. I'll let you guess which one's which. Okay, I've taken my limit switch off. The one that had the bent activator, the bent linkage there. Straightened it out, kinda. It's kinda straight. Not exactly sure of how the original configuration was, but I think I got it pretty close. It's probably a little high. I need to flatten it down just a little bit. It is a BZ2RW8225551-A2. It's a micro switch. Again, that's a Bravo Zulu -2 Romeo Whiskey 8225551 Alpha 2. Alright, so if you need to replace your micro switch there, your limit switch, because you bent the crap out of that thing, like happened with this one, there's your number. Hey man, I'm just here to help out. There's some specs on the back here, but I think we've got the catalog. You can probably find those numbers. If not, you can use the catalog number to find the dimensions on this and probably find a suitable replacement. It's got a common and normally closed, normally open, so basically any old generic micro switch that'll actually fit do the trick. And normally closed, and you can see we are on the normally open. If you could read that, it would probably say open somewhere, but basically limit switches normally have a normally open, normally closed contact with a common. So your voltage goes in the middle there and then goes out on your normally closed until it's activated, and then it opens up and you get no more voltage out. Or you put it on your normally open, and when the switch is closed, then you get 24 volts out. So we're normally open here. I believe I'm going to bend that down just a little bit more because the activated point is here, not the bottom of it, so it's probably a little high because that is a tight fit. All right, moving right along, I'll reinstall this and we'll go from there. All right, I'm using my knee to activate the lever here, pushing these forward, and I've placed this bracket, and I still have the arm on it, the nitrogen arm on it, and I've got the limit switch bracket there also. Those will be bolted together through the holes that come out here on the front side. So we're going to bolt those in right now. I've got my limit switch in. I did bend it down a little bit more, but if you listen, you hear no more switch activating. It's because when I bent it, that little pointed piece there in the middle raised up. Let me get if I can focus it. All right, it raised up, and it's no longer acting as one half of my pivot point. So I've got nothing to actually make my switch. My switch is the little plunger right above my finger right there, the little round black dot right there above my finger. So once I get my arms in, I'll adjust that, and then I'll rebend that plunger to be a good pivot point, and we'll see how that activates. This one, clearly, I need a new switch because my linkage is gone completely. So we'll work on that later. Right now, we're going to put the steering arms in, mount these brackets, and then we'll adjust the linkage. All right, let me get these bolts put in for these two brackets. All right, so we got those bolts installed and nuts. You can see the nuts go on the inside. Don't put the nuts on the outside. You'll have exposed thread and they'll get damaged and you'll never get them off again. On the inside here, you'll need a 15mm wrencher socket, and on the outside here, you'll need a 14mm wrencher socket. All right, now we can take the steering arm, and you see it doesn't fit unless you push it forward, so you have to push it forward to get it in there. What we have here is this is the bolt that goes through there. You can see it's got a shoulder here, and in the actuator you can actually see in there the little piece that goes through the arm. I actually did not remove. Unless you can replace it or have a replacement for it, don't remove it. So we'll put the bolt through. This is the bracket that activates the limit switch, and as you can see, we're going this way. We're going against the direction that the limit switch should actually be activated in, which is why it has a roller, which clearly did not work, and we bent the crap out of it. So we're going to install this and the arm and continue along. All right, I've got the steering arm back in. I did go ahead and bend that limit switch just a little bit, so see if you can hear this. You can see, can you hear that? So we got to be way down here to adjust to actually activate it. So right now I'm going right by it, I'm not even hitting it. You can see that I'm going by, I'm not even hitting it. And here is why we have this kick on this bracket, because if we keep going any further, which we can't, the limit is stopped. The limit stops us back here on the bracket. So I've got this limit switch, which has an adjustment this way, but has no adjustment this way, which it should not. So I can adjust this limit switch out just a little bit so that it does contact the arm when it's activated. Could have bent it a little bit to do that, but that would have taken away all of my adjustment. So let's do that. Okay, I've got the lever activated, and I've loosened my adjustments bolts there, and I've pushed the switch this direction, pushed it this way until the limit switch was activated. So now, hear it release, hear it click. All right, I've adjusted it, I've activated it a few times, it's quit working. This tight, it didn't move. It's probably got something to do with my bracket, my linkage being bent. Not very functional. And my roller actually works, believe it or not, after it was folded up like a spaghetti noodle. So I have to figure out what's going on with that and adjust it. All right, working on these, trying to get the limit switch working, but let's not lose sight of what we're doing. We actually replace the parking brake lock or the traction lock, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, this was the spring that came in it. Springs have a lifetime, so naturally I did not use this spring. I used the spring that came with it. Just a FYI, I want to let you know I did not use the original spring. I used the new spring because springs have a lifetime. All right, let's back to the limit switch. Get the limit switch working. All right, limit switch. I did bend the little middle piece there that points. You see I did bend it down, had to bend it down just a little bit. The bracket's, it's shot, but needs to be replaced, but I'm working with what I got right now. And I've activated it a bunch of times. It still activates over the travel of the lever here. So we can call that good, I believe. And you notice this only activates in reverse. So I don't know what the switch actually does, but I found it broke and it looked like it could be potentially repaired, so I tried to repair it and had a little bit of success. The other one, not so much. All right, I'll put the other arm in. Oh, just as a recommendation, I put this arm in first because of the limit switch to try to get it adjusted. When you're doing this for real, or when you're doing this and you don't have a limit switch problem, put this one in first. Don't put the one I put in first. Because now I can't get to the bolt head without having to hold this. And it's loaded, so it's pushing back against me. So the whole time I'm going to have to hold this, and so I can get my socket wrench in there with the bolt. I'll have to hold this with my knee, and it's pressed on me, so it's not comfortable. So put this one in first, then you can just push this one forward easily, no load on it, and get these in. So do this one first, which if you're sitting in the driver's seat, you know, naturally I'm facing opposite of the driver. I'm up here at the foot pedals, and this is the left one on the machine. Right to me because I'm facing rear. All right, I've got both of them on. As you can see, this one doesn't activate anything. This one activates the limit switch. Now, something I'm going to point out, this bracket here does have a slot. This is the front to rear adjustment. So when you do put that bracket on, you make sure you adjust it so that it stops before it mangles that. As what happened to mine prior. Actually, this is not my machine. This is a friend of mine. This is Frank's machine. But he's out of town, so I figured I thought I might help him out. Replace the solenoid. Alright, that adjustment looks good, and this one we're going to need a new switch because there is nothing to hit. Alright, now we got to put this back in here and put the other one on, and we'll be complete. Alright. Alright, we're back together. You can see I got my arms back on. Activating my limit switch. You hear it? Or if you can, I can. This arm's activating okay. My solenoid's on. Got my old one out. Don't forget to plug it back in. Here's my old one. We'll hold on to that just in case we're experiencing the same problems. We know it's not this. It's probably some mechanical issue. And we'll see how it goes. Anyway, so there you are. It's my Bobcat. Not my Bobcat. Frank's Bobcat 773 with the cockpit up. Me facing to the rear. Foot pedal, and there's the activator, and there's a switch. I guess the next thing to do would be get a switch, but we can easily check the switch electrically. All right, get my rags up, and hope this helps. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Alright guys, see you later. Alright, I know I'm taking this with my camera the wrong way, but just so you know, this is where we got the part. allskidsteers.com. Hey, you want to scan that? If I can hold that steady enough for a few seconds, that's all you get. They specialize in Bobcats. There's their text number. And they get fast free shipping. Now also, something else I thought was pretty cool is when I opened the package, I got this. I keep my eyes always on the Lord, with him at my right hand. I will not be shaken. Psalms 18:8. They sent me a little Bible verse with my part. I thought that was cool. Keep it up, all skid steers. That's terrific.